What is up with YouTubers having terrible intros like that with dumb voices? Not a fan. This is serious. Now, let's talk handles. Not let's talk candles, but let's talk handles. All right. Let's talk about handle design. Before you start making a handle for your mug, you have to have a goal in mind. I have some nice examples here of some different styles, and there's a wide range of what's acceptable. But let's first take a look at a not great example. So here is my trite but nice mug with the inspirational phrase, great. This mug is kind of tall, so the handle is kind of tall as well. This is a 4-finger handle. And to be honest, if you're making a 4-finger handle, I think that's probably too big. This handle is on the verge of being an elephant ear handle. That's a handle that is aesthetically too big for the mug. Instead, we want to take a look at a handle design that's in proportion. Handles should be really designed for 1 or 2, maybe 3 fingers. Anything bigger than that, and it's really out of proportion for a typical mug. So this example right here, you can see that handle is a nice curved, elegant shape. We have curves here that complement the curves on the texture of the mug, but most importantly, it's in proportion. So one way to think about composition for a mug is to consider the rule of thirds. And that's something we talk about a lot in art and in photography, and the same could apply to this. Now, a rule of thirds isn't exactly a rule that you have to follow exactly, but think of it as a guide. And if you're way off, you should probably have a good reason for doing so. This mug, if you look at the width of the handle itself compared to the width of the cylinder, you'll see that the handle is approximately 1/3 and the cylinder is about 2/3. This is great. So this proportion is aesthetically pleasing. Most people don't really notice why, but that's why. The rule of thirds naturally tends to be an aesthetically pleasing composition. Now, the next consideration with handle design is finger fit. So not only is it about how many fingers fit in there, but it's also where those fingers are. This is a 2-finger handle for me. When I hold this handle, there's just a little bit of space there between my fingers and the mug. This is important if you have a hot drink. You don't want your fingers in contact with the surface of the cylinder, or that's going to potentially burn you. Some of the mugs I have are 1-finger handles, like this Kenyon Hansen mug. And even though it's only 1 finger and it's kind of a big mug, this takes that proportion and moves it up into the corner here, and it creates a really balanced feel to hold this. On top of that, the handle, it's thinner here, but it's a little chunky on those edges. And those chunky edges kind of relate to the chunky visual style of this particular mug. Some artists do pulled handles that go the other way. This pulled handle is upside down. In other words, the thicker attachment part is at the bottom and it's curved into a little loop. This is fine. This is nice. It's a 1-finger handle and my thumb fits on top of there. You wouldn't want to go much smaller on a mug this big though, or it could be a little tricky to hold. This is a pretty conventional handle, but it is getting on the small side for this mug. This is a pretty big mug and it's just a 2-finger handle. While that might be my preference most of the time, probably a 3-finger handle would have been a better design for this mug. Here's a beautiful little mug that I bought at a sale, and this mug is just gorgeous and smooth, but honestly for me the handle is a bad fit. I can't fit 2 fingers in there. It's too snug, and 1 finger feels a little bit awkward. Now for somebody else this could be the perfect fit. So you want to think about what's going to fit you or the intended user. Keep in mind that our clay is going to shrink about 10% by the time you make it to the time it is final fired in the glaze firing. So you want to make this about 10% oversized. In other words, your fingers should be a little bit roomy in that handle when you create it. Some other considerations for handle design is the shape of the negative space. Even though there's nothing right here, that negative space is part of the design. When a person sees this mug, they're seeing that negative space that you've defined with the handle itself. The negative space should have a nice smooth curve on the inside of the handle, and then the thickness of the handle should relate to the thickness of the rim on the mug. If I had a thicker mug, I might want a thicker handle. If I have a thin, delicate mug, I might want a thinner, more delicate handle. The width of the handle is really up to you. That's a personal preference and it depends on whatever style you think is going to look good on the mug. Generally speaking, handles are going to be more comfortable if your thumb rests on there nicely. Some handles that are a little bit thinner, like this one, my thumb doesn't really have a place to go. So for me, this is slightly less comfortable. There isn't exactly a right or wrong way to do this when you think about handle design, as long as you're actually deciding. You should decide, as the artist, what the handle negative space is going to be like, what the hand fit is going to be like, what the style is going to be like, and how is it going to attach to your mug. Finally, think about your attachment points. As you pull handles, you want to consider making them similar in shape to how you want the finished result to be. So this handle is that classic sort of teardrop shape. So the fullness of form, the rounder part is up at the top, and it comes to a point down on the bottom. This makes a naturally comfortable handle to hold. Some handles are more of a C shape. So a handle like this, still really nice, but I have a cut point at the top and bottom, scored and slipped in place. Some artists intentionally keep the base, the attachment point, really, really thick. No problem, that can be a great option. It all depends on what you're going for. And on this Kenyon Hansen mug, the attachment points are left intentionally exposed. So you can see the edges, you can see how it's made. And I think that creates a really beautiful appeal. This handle looks like a separate component that was made and attached, where some handles are merged into the clay itself. So if you want to design a mug, it's really beautiful, one that you're really proud of and one that you want to use, then function and visual appeal have to go together, form plus function. You have to decide all of these things ahead of time. This is what separates an artist mug from an amateur mug. The fact that you are making all these decisions along the way. It's not about perfect, these are handmade. Embrace imperfection at times. But you want to be in control of the clay and you want to be in control of the design. Whatever that is up to you. So guys, I think you can handle this. Yes, get a grip. Anyway, I think that's enough.